So we are team number 2, and this is our video based on the case study, and we are confirmed by
Ian Capetillo Castillo,
Brandon Ramírez Mares,
Pablo Ceballos Gutiérrez,
Diego Mendoza Hernández,
and it's El Cedillo Cabrera that is in charge of the video production. So our decision in this claim for refugee protection is based on the information provided in the case study, and we will grant the claimed refugee protection. The reasons of our decision in this claim for refugee protection, well, first of all, the claimant experience with the MS-13, including the repeated attempts to recruit her and the use of harassment, threats, and violence, demonstrate a well-founded fear of persecution. Also, the claimant's situation in El Salvador, where the MS-13 controlled her neighborhood and had a reputation for ruthless violence and criminal activity, further supports her fear of persecution. And finally, the fact that the claimant's U.S. asylum claim was denied and that she remained undocumented in the U.S. also suggests that she will face a risk of harm if she were to be returned to El Salvador. Therefore, it is likely that the claimant meets the definition of a refugee under a Canadian law.
Well, the evidence that we found to be credible and trustworthy includes the claimant's personal experience with the MS-13, the documentation of the gang reputation for violence and criminal activity, and the fact that the claimant's U.S. asylum claim was denied. The claimant's testimony regarding the frequency and severity of the gang's attempt to recruit her and the harm that she suffered as a result is compelling and consists with other information about the MS-13 as an evidence to the claimant.
Okay, now talking about the relevant law on which we will be basing our judgments, we can say that includes the Immigrant and Refugee Protection Act, which provides that a person in need of protection is a person in Canada who is a convention refugee or a person in danger of persecution, and whose removal to their country of origin would subject them to the risk of torture, risk to their life, or risk to a cruel and unusual treatment or punishment.
and now to state our judgments based not only on the relevant law, but also on the credible evidence that is presented in this case, we would grant the claimant refugee protection. The claimant in question has a well-founded fear of prosecution by the MS-13 and would very likely face a risk of harm if she were to be returned to El Salvador. As such, she meets the definition of a refugee under Canadian law, and it is in the best interests of justice and compassion to grant her protection.
In conclusion, based on the evidence presented and the relevant law, it is our judgment to grant the claimant refugee protection. The claimant's personal experiences with the MS-13, their reputation for violence and criminal activity, and the denial of the claimant's U.S. asylum claim all support the claimant's well-founded fear of persecution. Thus, the claimant meets the definition of a refugee under Canadian law and should be granted protection. As a country, Canada has a responsibility to provide refuge to those who face persecution, and granting this claim will demonstrate our commitment to justice and compassion. Thank you for your attention.